If you have broken the screen on your Samsung S23, look no further because I'm going to show you step-by-step instructions on how to replace the front screen on this phone. Start off by powering down the device, and then we're going to place it on a hot plate set to 85 degrees for the next 5 minutes. If you don't have a hot plate, don't worry, you can use a heat gun or hairdryer to achieve the same effect. And once it's had 5 minutes on the hot plate, or if you're using a hairdryer, it is hot to the touch, we're going to take a suction cup like this one, and we're going to place it on the bottom of the device, and then start sort of lifting with my thumb and my finger. Add some isopropyl alcohol around the edges there, and you can see, let me show you close up, as we start to lift, it's creating a small gap, look. If we lift hard, it'll all come up in one very easily. But if you're having trouble, you can take a plastic guitar pick like the iFixit ones and just run it up the edges. If you run into any resistance, add a couple more drops of alcohol and just keep working your way around all 4 edges. Being aware, like sometimes the adhesive will stick to the back cover and the chassis, so you might have to sort of get in between it and cut it out or pull it out. But yeah, just pulling it out will help a little bit. We're going to replace this adhesive anyway, but once it's all out or it's lifted, then you should be able to lift up the back cover very easily, just like that. Whilst this is still warm, I'll just remove the rest of the adhesive off of the back cover there, because we will be reusing that. However, if it's on the chassis here, don't worry about it too much, because that's going to get replaced with our new service pack. Now that we're into the guts of the device, there's 13 crosshead screws up in this top section, which holds down all the shields that cover the logic board and hold the camera in place. Go ahead and take your crosshead screwdriver and remove all 13 of them and store them safely for later. Just a little side note on these screws, they are all the same size on this one, so don't worry if they get mixed up. But during this tutorial, I will explain if there are any screws of different sizes and how to keep them safe. If you're trying this repair yourself, let me know how you get on in the comments below. And if you like repair content just like this, make sure that you're subscribed for more great tutorials. Just as a little note, I'll use like a little magnetic mat. I know it's not the cleanest or neatest, but a magnetic mat is great for sorting the screws out and organising parts as you remove them. I'll pop a link in the description below where to buy one of these. We need to remove this metal shield next. And there is one connector just here that needs to be disconnected, so use the plastic spudger to remove that, and then you can get underneath it, lift it up like that, and then I'm just going to fold it back. Don't worry about removing it from here, I'll explain why in a little bit. Now that the power's isolated, we're going to leave all 3 of these still connected to the main board. Same again, I'll explain that a little bit more in a minute. But we do need to disconnect this little connector here, what's attached to this ear speaker. And then we can use the plastic spudger to remove that. I think that the front camera is held down with some resin, so we're going to disconnect that as well. And now we can remove the logic board with the camera. I'll just leave it sort of loose and flapping around like that whilst we move down to the bottom of the device. We'll fold over the wireless coil again, and we can use the crosshead screwdriver again to remove the 7 screws that hold down this plastic shield, which is combined with the loudspeaker as well. Same again, all these screws are the same size as the ones we removed from the top, so as long as they go back, it doesn't matter which one goes where. Store them safely, and then what you'll notice is there's small arrows in the plastic here. That's a good point to pry on, so we can use our plastic spudger, pointed end of it, to lift up this plastic cover for the loudspeaker and subboard. And then we can remove that all as one, look, and then it goes back all as one. It means that we don't have to peel these off, and it just looks neater in my head. There's another 3 crosshead screws holding down the subboard. Carefully remove those. and store them for later. I believe these are a slightly different size, so I always keep them separate on my mat. And then before removing the subboard, make sure that you remove the SIM tray, because that will 100% snag up. We'll get the spudger again now, and we can disconnect the display cable from the back of the screen, and then we'll use the pointed end to get underneath the subboard and carefully lift that out. It sometimes jams up a bit where the charging port is. Just be gentle with it and it'll come out nicely. Remember when I said to leave all these connected? That's because we can just remove it very easily like that. And it's a good practice to do this because often with these Samsung devices, these FPC connectors can be very, very fragile, and disconnecting them just puts unnecessary strain on them when we can just lift it out just like that. The batteries on these models are quite easy to remove. There's like a little green peel here. Where we used to use the suction cup to get these out, we can just lift up on this peel. Similar to removing Huawei batteries. You need a bit of strength and a bit of grip to get these, but they do come out quite nicely with a little bit of effort. If you get some wrinkles on the back of the battery like that, then I find it's best to use the little plastic pick just to sort of iron them out and leave them nice and flat. Like I said when we were removing the logic board, the cameras are sort of resined into place on these, so I use one of these number 17 X-Acto blades, and what I do, I just go down either side of the front camera, wiggle it around from side to side to sort of cut that adhesive, do the same on the opposite side, and then usually with a little bit of prying action it comes out. Obviously as soon as I start recording this it looks like I don't know what I'm doing. I've seen others use heat, but it's very easy to use too much heat when doing this. So we'll just take our time, be patient with it, and it should eventually just pop out. Now just use the tweezers to help me out, get that last bit out, but that camera comes out just like that. You can see how much glue's on the edge of that. Try and not touch the lens because that'll leave marks on it, but remove a little bit of that excess glue and any rough bits. You already know that we're going to be using a genuine Samsung service pack. Just make sure that it's the right model for the one that you're using. I'll put a link in the description below for the part that I use in this video. And you'll see it comes with the frame already attached. This is factory sealed with the frame, and there's just a little peel here. This is the only real way to do it. Like there's no point just scrimping and buying crap parts. Buy genuine and you'll only buy it once. If you want to as well, you could do a side-by-side comparison, spot the difference, because sometimes you'll get them where the buttons aren't attached. And I mean, there's no vibration model attached to the chassis on this one, so just make sure that everything is transferred across, that's all. But this is ready. So with the exception of that front camera, what we removed last, we're just going to reverse order what we did to disassemble the other chassis, starting off with the battery. Make sure that that's stuck down nice and solid. And then remember what we did with the board, we can just drop that straight in. Make sure that the main board goes in first. Then we'll come down to the bottom, slide the subboard into place, and we can secure that down with the 3 crosshead screws that we removed from it. With those reattached, we can attach the flex cable for the display. Make sure that it's well attached, and you can even give it a little nudge down with the back edge of the spudger to make sure that, did you see how it sort of connected there? It wasn't connected at first. Now we're going to put the loudspeaker and cover on top of it, just push it down until it clicks into place, and that means it's secure. And then I think I said there were 7 screws that we took out of there. So we'll quickly go ahead and reattach all of those. I don't think you can beat these Samsung repairs really. All the screws are the same size. It's all very sort of standard. There's a battery, a subboard, main board, and a few covers that go over them. It gets a bit monotonous with all these screws, but it's definitely the easiest type of repair that we can do. Don't forget to reinsert the SIM tray. Easy mistake to make. And now we'll just peel this guy back, reattach the battery, And again, make sure that it clips down properly. Now we've got that top speaker. Reattach that connector, and now let's fold over that final shield there, reconnect the wireless coil, and then we'll go ahead and re-secure those 13 crosshead screws that hold down this top bit. If you find that once you think that you've installed all the screws and you've got one left behind, just run your eye over it and make sure that there's no holes that are unfilled. And if you've not got a screw, don't panic. It can probably live without one screw, but have a good rummage around. There's been many a time that I've been on my hands and knees in the workshop searching for screws on the floor. A magnet will really help you in that situation. Now all that we've got to do is re-secure that back cover on there. It's always handy to just blow off any dust with a dust blower on the camera area. Same on the inside. And then we can reattach this back cover. Making sure it lines up nicely. Apply pressure all the way around the edges. And then of course, make sure that it boots and it's got a picture. Make sure that you test all functions on the phone if you are using it yourself or if you return it to a customer. That just about completes this repair. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.